Yeah, Orochi's freaking dead. Now, I've seen so many YouTubers speculating that, oh yeah, because Orochi has so many enemies that there's no way they're just gonna kill Orochi off by some unconventional means that's not gonna satisfy everybody. But you know, the fact that Kaido murked Orochi is actually kind of brilliant. It's just a way for Oda to get rid of that struggle or debate that's been going on in the One Piece community. Like, who the hell's gonna kill Orochi? Because Orochi is a sack of shit. It's been known throughout the One Piece community. That's his whole shtick. That's the thing. And after seeing the death of Orochi, and well, after a couple of chapters have passed since then, he's not even brought up anymore. That's what's crazy about it. Orochi, he reminds me a lot of a certain character. I'm gonna get into that later on as why I think Orochi is actually dead for good, and why I think that Kaido being the one to kill Orochi is actually kind of a saving grace and kind of a smart move on Oda's part. But let me talk about like Orochi's whole character, like what he's brought to the table in Wano. Now let's think about it. Like everybody in the One Piece community, whether you're reading the manga or you're watching the anime, you hate Orochi. That's the point. That's his thing. You're supposed to hate Orochi. This is not the first time One Piece has brought us a character that we genuinely despise. They brought us Spondum. The Spondum's still the character that I've come up with so far that everyone seems to hate with a burning passion. Because, yeah, there's nothing redeemable or likable or respectable about Spondum. Like, he's just despicable. And that's the same thing with Orochi. There's nothing about Orochi that's redeemable. He's a walking sack of shit, especially after seeing the Oden flashback art. And after everything that Oden and Wano has done for him and how he's just basically destroying the country now, he's irredeemable. There's no saving grace for his character. But that's what makes the character so fascinating. Like, that's why we all want to see Orochi. Now, I can honestly say with assurance that Orochi is honestly the enemy of Wano. Like, cause I can't even clarify Kaido to be the enemy. He's an obstacle. He's a ladder that Luffy needs to climb. Like he's a bump in the road at best. Cause even though Kaido he's not the best person, he's an absolute asshole, and he is shown to be the clear antagonist. But I can't even call him a villain. He's more of an obstacle. There are times, especially during the flashback, where Kaido has done things that were just irredeemable. Like holding Momonosuke off the side of a building, beating the living dog crap out of Orochi and condoling it, throwing Luffy into Udon prison, even though Luffy kind of did that to himself. But still, everything that Kaido did, he had his reason as to why. He had an ambition. He wanted to rule Wano. He wants to be king of the pirates. We still don't know what his absolute motives are, like we know what Big Mom's goals are. But still, everything that Kaido did, he did it for a reason. With Orochi, his reason was just pure chaos, anarchy, destruction. If we go by D&D terms, he's chaotic evil at the highest degree. Now that reason alone isn't the reason why I think it was smart for Kaido to knock off Orochi. The reason why I think so is because that particular chapter reminded me of one character in particular. Orochi reminded me of one very specific character in another form of fiction that had world building, character growth, development, and casting almost on the par of One Piece, if not more so. Game of Thrones, The Song of Ice and Fire. You know who Orochi is? He's Joffrey Lannister. Or Joffrey Baratheon, but if you've seen Game of Thrones or read the books, it's a Lannister. Jesus Christ, incest. But yeah, think about it. Joffrey and Orochi have so many character traits that are almost identical. They're both irredeemable. They're both cowards. They both rule with an iron fist. They both treat their subjects and countries as if they were toys that they can discard or throw away. They have no respect for their lineage. They have no respect for other people's lineage. They have no respect for people in general. They're sociopaths. They're narcissists. They're possibly psychopaths. And how did Joffrey die? Well, before we get to how Joffrey died, let's look at what happened to Joffrey. Besides, by the way, these are Game of Thrones spoilers, in case you haven't seen the series yet. But then again, series been over 2 years. Can't wait for House of the Dragons. I really am looking forward to that prequel. But whatever. Anyway, Joffrey was so irredeemable that everybody in the fandom, in the show, wanted Joffrey to die. I cannot tell you how many characters that were in Game of Thrones. Robb Stark, Sansa Stark, Arya Stark, even freaking members of his family wanted Joffrey dead. Tyrion wanted the asshole dead. Marjorie Tyrell wanted him dead. Everybody wanted Joffrey dead. That's exactly what Orochi is. They both have the quality of that how everybody just wants the bastard's head on a spike. You prefer if the guy just went to sleep and never woke up. Not to be so more, but that's exactly the case. People would imagine the most crucifying, horrific, most deserving fate for these two people. That's exactly what people wanted for Joffrey. People didn't want Joffrey just to die. They wanted him to hurt, to suffer for all of the suffering and crap that he's put everyone through. And that's the exact same thing that people wanted for Orochi. The problem is, for George R. R. Martin and for H.O. Oda, there were so many characters that have great reasons to kill Joffrey that he couldn't decide. Everyone had a reason to kill Joffrey. It could have been Robb. It could have been freaking Jon Snow, even though he was stuck in the Night's Watch. Could have been Arya. Could have been the Hound. Could have been Marjorie. Could have been Catelyn because he killed her husband. Could have been Tyrion because of all the torment that he caused Tyrion over the years. It could have been anybody. It's the exact same thing with Orochi. Anybody could have killed Orochi. It could have been Zoro. It could have been Momonosuke. It could have been Hiyori. It could have been Luffy. Even though Luffy doesn't intentionally kill people, but he has killed people before. Okay, unintentionally, but whatever. It could have been the Scabbards. Anybody could have killed Orochi, and it would have been acceptable for anybody. Everybody. Everybody had a reason to kill him. The problem that George R. R. Martin and Oda ran into was that they couldn't satisfy everyone's needs, but so they came up with a clever tactic. It solved the problem, but it didn't leave that right taste in our mouths. You know what I mean? Like, I say Joffrey's death was far more satisfying than, say, Orochi's death. The way that Joffrey died, the Purple Wedding. You know all of the Purple Wedding. Everybody knows the infamous Red Wedding. That's one of the greatest episodes of television of all time. But the Purple Wedding was something that was great that followed immediately after that. After that gruesome event of the Red Wedding, the Purple Wedding was that sweet taste of wine that everybody desired. Joffrey Baratheon drank some poison given to him by Olenna Tyrell. I think that's how I pronounce her name. No, it's not Olenna, but it's the Tyrell, the old Tyrell lady. I forgot her name. I'm such a, man, I call myself a Game of Thrones fan. I forgot her name. She's one of my favorite characters too. I'm having a total brain fart. But yeah, he drank some poison. It was given to him by the old Tyrell lady. I keep forgetting her name. But everyone suspected it was either Tyrion or Sansa. The way that she planted that poison, and how Tyrion was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and how Sansa left so inconspicuously, so vaguely, no one knew where she was because she was taken away by Littlefinger. All fingers pointed to them, and for right reasons. But the way that Joffrey died, he was suffering. According to the books, Joffrey was clawing on his neck and ripping flesh off. He was tearing, his eyes were leaking blood, tears of blood. His face was turning purple. He could barely breathe. He couldn't even stand. It was hurt. He was hurting. And the way the book described it, dying by that means seemed worse than dying by burning, okay? And everybody clapped it. It was, man, we are all some sick psychopaths if you think about it. But then again, Joffrey, he did deserve it. What my point is that the death toward Joffrey, the fact that how he caused so much suffering throughout the kingdom, that he was able to face the same amount of suffering that he caused, it was poetic justice at best. Poetic justice to its highest degree. Everybody saw it. Everyone loved it. People in a show thought that it was deserved and they loved it. I don't know if Tyrion would ever admit that he loved that, but you knew that he's smiling in his head. I know Sansa was happy to hear that. But and the fan base, they were toasting to the death of Joffrey. Champagne to all for the death of the worst king in history. But then again, I wouldn't consider Joffrey the worst king in history. I think Tommen actually did a worse job than Joffrey. But anyway, enough of Joffrey. Let's compare Joffrey's death to Orochi's death. See, it's basically the same thing that happened. Orochi had so many enemies, like all the Straws could have killed him. Zoro, Hiyori, Kinemon, either of the Scabbards, the Minks, Momonosuke, anybody could have killed him. But the person that did kill Orochi, Kaido. Now this one wasn't as satisfying, so I'm pretty sure Oda's gonna give us a little bit more of it later on. Maybe not, because like we're in the middle of a war right now, but maybe later on Oda's gonna give us a bit of a backflash or a recap on like, oh yeah, Orochi's dead, so what now what? I don't know, maybe they'll piss on his grave or something. Do something just to demean him. But that's not my point. My point is that with so many characters that could have lopped off Orochi for all great reasons, Oda picked Kaido. The reason for that is because Kaido, what I'm saying is that Kaido is the perfect excuse as to why Orochi could die. He's the perfect tool to use to kill Orochi. Being that there were so many characters that had such great reasons to kill Orochi, Oda was confused. He was conflicted. The fanbase would have spiraled into an uproar of chaos depending on who were to kill Orochi. Zoro could have killed Orochi because of how Zoro's personality just being so conflicting against Orochi. They went together like oil and water. The Scabbers could kill Orochi, having the greatest reason to kill Orochi because they knew Odin the longest, they knew Odin at the most personal level, and they would want to avenge their master. Momonosuke could have killed Orochi because, Orochi killed his father. Hiyori could have done it for the same reasons. But no, he picked Kaido. It's sort of a great tactic on how a parent would calm down temper tantrum little kids. It's sort of the same tactic as that. Let's say there are two kids, right? And they're arguing over a toy or what snack they can get, the last cookie or something. I don't know, I don't have kids. Both of the kids could be arguing that I want the toy, or they're saying I want the cookie. Well, the parent would have to make the decision on who should get the cookie. Now, they both have good reasons to why they get the cookie. They both haven't had any sort of sweets all day. They both were bored all day, because depending whether it's a cookie or a toy. So the parent did his tactics where it's okay, how about this? There's no more toy and there's no more cookie because she ate the cookie or the toy's ripped or it's torn apart or something. Then there's no more reason to argue, right? It's the same tactic that Oda used. The cookie is Orochi. The toy is Orochi. The screaming kids are the fan base. And Kaido is the parent. There is no more Orochi, so there's no reason to argue who's going to be the one to kill Orochi. Are you satisfied? The only problem about it is that we did not see any build-up to this at all. It just sort of happened. If you were to look at the chapter again and you see what led up to this, you would not expect this at all. That's the only problem I have with this. Well, not the only problem I have with this. I'm sure people have a lot of other problems with this, but this did solve the problem of who would kill Orochi, but that's all it solved. What I mean is that this only solved that particular problem is the fact that, remember when Kanjuro was revealed to be the traitor? That reveal was very rewarding and very deserved because based off the context clues, very subtle hints that Kanjuro was the traitor, not something obvious like Kanjuro smirking in a panel or something, because then the fan base would find that out and it's like, Kanjuro's the traitor. But no, it was actually context clues based off of the plot of previous chapters. Like when Doflamingo was creating his tournament, trying to hunt down all of his enemies in Dressrosa with the bounty system, Kanjuro didn't have any bounty. Not to mention, how the hell did Jack know Rizal was even on Zou? Zou is a Mirage Island. The only people that know how to get to Zou is people who've been to Zou. It's like the Batcave. The only way you can find the Batcave is if you've been to the Batcave before. And the reason why I think it is a smart idea that Kaido did is because people, you can say what you want about Kaido, but I tell people can generally say that, oh, I hate Kaido. You can say like he's not that interesting, and most certainly he's really not. He's really not. Like, he's certainly not as interesting or as laid out as, say, Big Mom. Like, we all know what makes Big Mom tick. He's not as interesting as Shanks. We still don't know what makes Shanks tick. We barely even know Shanks at all. He's nowhere near as interesting as, say, especially not as interesting as, say, Blackbeard. Like, Kaido. Kaido is the one character in Wano that we do not know exactly what makes him tick. He could have killed Orochi for any reason. From what we got from that, we can clearly see that Kaido never liked Orochi. It was very clear from the very beginning, ever since the older flashback, that Kaido clearly didn't respect Orochi, didn't like Orochi at all. I mean, you didn't see it through any action or dialogue, but from just like how casually he just lopped off his head, he probably thought very little of him. The only thing I wish Oda would have done is that if Oda were to give us a little bit of more of a representation of the relationship between Kaido and Orochi, just to make it seem like, oh yeah, I kind of want Kaido to kill Orochi. If he just brought out Kaido's personality even a little bit more, made it a little bit more thorough, made it a little more like bolded, like make it stand out more, because we still don't know how Kaido would act in certain situations, how he's just so casual and nonchalant about certain things. Like, that's the only thing we get. But yeah, Orochi and Joffrey, two despicable characters. They both have very similar traits, the only problem, and very similar ways on how they died. Both died to the conventional means, to whereas, yeah, that's acceptable. Like, that's acceptable. Like, because with Joffrey, yeah, he died a very painful death in a very suffering manner. Even though like the character that we wish would have offed him off due to the fact that they have every right to didn't get to, but we can accept that. Well, problem with Orochi, yeah, Orochi died by means that were unorthodox, like unexpected, like he didn't see it coming. Fortunately, that we didn't get the chance to see how, yeah, we didn't get to see the fear or surprise in his eyes when it happened. Like, you see the clear shock and confusion on Joffrey's face when he realized, oh my god, have I been poisoned? But with Orochi, it's just a clean lop off. It's almost like a guillotine. It's almost quick and clean. Simple, not even fast. Of course it's shonen. And shonen manga and anime don't really go for the whole torture thing. So, I guess you can blame Shonen Jump for that. Maybe not Oda in particular. But I digress. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you have. Share this video with your friend. My friend Barricade made the music, so his link will be in the description down below. Check him out if you like the music. And alright, Kingdom, this is your generous prince, and I'll be seeing ya. Peace.